just make sure to do your own research and not just focus on this video, because I'm not a medical professional and I cannot guarantee anything. So hey guys, it's Annie. Welcome back to the channel. So as you can tell by the title, I will be talking about my IUS journey so far. So I am on LEVOSERT, 20 micrograms per 24 hours intrauterine delivery system is what this one is called. This is what I was given. Do you remember the name of it? I keep having to pause the video because there's planes going back and forth. The perks of living next to an airport. But yes, so I have LEVOSERT is the one that I was inserted with. So there's obviously two different types that I'm aware of. There's an IUS and an IUD. The intrauterine system is the IUS. The IUD is, I believe, an intrauterine device. I think that's what the IUD stands for. The main difference is that the IUD releases copper, I believe. I will insert a screenshot of the difference here, while the IUS, the one that I have, releases progesterone into your body every month for, periods. And also, obviously, it is technically supposed to be a birth control thing. So I'm gonna give you guys hopefully a quick story time. So I started my periods when I was about 10 or 11 in year 6. I was never given a period talk. Obviously it was too early. They didn't do that in class in year 6. So I didn't really know about periods back then. So I was shocked when I came home after my PE class to find out that I was bleeding. From then, my periods were okay for the first year or two after I initially got the first one. So I started researching IUSs and IUDs more around halfway through 2021. By about October/November, I had my first appointment to talk about the IUDs and IUSs at a place called Umbrella, which offer free sexual health appointments, basically. So my first appointment was initially just to do blood tests, to have me checked for basically STDs, pregnancy, and all that kind of things, all of which came back negative, meaning that I was good to go ahead and have my device/system inserted. At the appointment, the first appointment, the lady that I had the appointment with has talked to me about the difference between IUD and IUS. The main one, I believe, being the IUD is non-hormonal, so it releases copper, and the IUS is hormonal, so it releases progesterone every month during the time of your period, basically. I decided to have the IUS inserted because I was told by the lady at the first appointment that the IUD is better if you still want to have, if you want to still keep your periods as they are, potentially have them a bit worse. But obviously some people can't have the hormonal intrauterine device placed, possibly due to hormones affecting their weight or skin, acne, that kind of thing. Basically, some people can't have the hormonal birth control things, so a lot of time birth control pills are out of the questions for those people, and they have to go with the IUD. The IUS, I was told, could make your periods lighter / stop them as a whole, which was my goal. That was the one thing that I wanted to get out of this, is to make my periods a bit easier for me to manage, basically. So I decided to go with the IUS, and I was told to book an appointment basically about a month in advance, which happened on the 13th of December, 1-3, the 13th of December. So the 13th of December was a Monday, so I was actually working that day. I worked 2 to 3 days at the office at that point. So on Monday I was in the office, and then I asked my manager if I could work remotely from home for the next 2 days because I wasn't sure how bad the pain was going to be after I get the IUS inserted. So I finished work. I actually left work about 10 minutes early, which I made up on the next day while working from home. But I left work about 10 minutes earlier than usual just so I could get to my appointment 10 minutes early to prepare, fill out any forms that I may need to fill out before my actual appointment. So I got to the appointment and they were actually playing Inside Out on the TV in the waiting room before I was called in. And then I was called in and brought into like a back room where I was introduced to a lady called Kathy. I have her name on my note thing. So Kathy talked me through the procedure, answered all the questions I had. She was great, made me feel a lot more comfortable than I was walking into the room. I was really worried because of things that I've read and heard. Mostly heard though, because there doesn't seem to be much information about the reality of IUS devices or IUD devices even. So she answered any questions such as, does it hurt more if you've never had children, if you've never given birth? Kathy said that it doesn't matter if you had children or not, the pain is usually the same. You know, it was described to me as a small pinch. It was a little bit more than a small pinch. I obviously had to get undressed from my lower half down. I had like the towel thing placed over my bottom half, and gone to the procedure. So that's the next part. So I can't remember 100% of the details of the procedure, but basically they put numbing cream down in my area, into like inside of my vagina basically. The numbing cream was so that the pain wouldn't be as bad. I don't think the numbing cream helped me. The numbing gel, whatever it was, didn't really help me personally, because when the procedure started it was a lot painful. I have 11 tattoos, one of them being on my rib cage, 2 of them being on my ankles, and the IUS was the most painful thing I have ever experienced. Quite literally the most painful. I cannot think of one single thing that was more painful that I remember than the actual insertion procedure. So I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They tell you it's a little pinch. It is definitely more than a little pinch. It actually felt like someone took really sharp tweezers or something, really big sharp tweezers, held onto my uterus and started cutting through it. I have no idea what it looks like from the inside out. No, from the inside. Obviously I couldn't see that part and I can't tell you what it looked like. I can only tell you what it felt like. And it was really, really painful. I finished after the procedure was finished, I think I actually blacked out twice, because of the pain. The assistant nurse actually held my hand and I squeezed it a lot. And I'm pretty sure I did actually pass out for a few seconds, twice at least, because it was so painful. I obviously can't compare it to childbirth because I've never given birth, so don't ask about that. But so far, as I said, it has been the most painful thing I've ever experienced. After the procedure, I actually was allowed to just lay on / sit on the like medical bed that I was on for 10 minutes. The assistant nurse brought me some tea to bring my sugars back up a little bit because my blood pressure was rocketing. I imagine my sugar was dropping. I felt really lightheaded. So they made me tea, and actually also gave me 2 cups of water, just to get me feeling a bit better. After that, I felt a bit better. I had to put a pad on because obviously after the procedure you are bleeding a little bit. But I was feeling a bit better after about 10-15 minutes. And then I stood up and I was like, oh, nope. It's not good. So I was like, I felt bad about taking up the space in the room. So I was like, do you think I could just wait outside, just sit outside for about 10 minutes, just until I start feeling a little bit better still? So they actually put me into like their little office, where I was sat in the corner, given some more water. They did offer me another cup of tea, but I was like, it's okay, I'll just have the water. And I was just sat chatting to another nurse for about 10 minutes. And then I was like, you know what, I'm actually feeling a bit better than I was when I came out of the room, so I'm gonna go. A part of me also didn't want to wait that long in the office / in the umbrella center. I was about to say Umbrella Academy, because I knew that the pain was gonna get worse before it got better. So I left and I had to get a train home. Bearing in mind this was after work, it was also winter, so I had a shirt, probably a hoodie, and a coat on top of that as well, alongside with my work laptop bag and my backpack. So it was all a little bit heavy on me, especially with the fact that I didn't really have much energy after the procedure. So before I got on the train, I called my mom and I was like, this is really hurting a lot. Can you come pick me up from the train station? So I told her which train station to get me from. And I got on the train and I was just crunched over in pain, literally just hugging myself. It was a lot of pain. So the train journey was about 10-15 minutes, and after I got off the train I had to walk up the stairs to get from the platform to the actual train station. My mom met me just outside the train station. I was literally bent over in pain. Like when I was walking like crunched over, because of how painful it was to walk, to even stand, to do anything really. So my mom took my laptop bag off my shoulder. She actually also took my backpack. I unzipped my coat because I was also getting hot flushes. She helped me get home. When I got home, I had one of my brothers fill up my hot water bottle to place on my stomach to ease with the pain a little bit. Updated my manager that I was indeed gonna have to work from home for at least 2 days. It ended up being 3 days actually. So I ended up working from home for the rest of the week, I believe, because it was just that painful. It was painful to just sit in bed. I was taking paracetamol basically every 4 to 6 hours, however many you can take in the amount of time. I was sleeping a lot. I was really tired. I was still exhausted even 2-3 days after the procedure. And then it got better after the 3 days really. It was still a bit painful over the weekend, but I managed to go into work on Monday and work from the office on Monday. So that was the actual IUS journey. Now, it's been 4 months. It's been 4 months since I got it inserted. It's obviously April now, and I got it inserted mid-December. So it's been 4 months, and I want to talk about that too. So this might be a bit of an extra long video. I noticed the changes pretty much straight away. I was obviously bleeding for about 7 days after the actual insertion, which was on top of my period, which was finished about a week before my insertion. But January, February, March, I've already had 3 periods since the actual IUS was inserted. And let me tell you, the relief I have because of the IUS, honestly, the pain of the actual insertion was horrible. It was, again, the worst pain I've ever felt. But I would do it again like that if, you know, I would have done it. I wish I'd done it sooner, honestly, because my periods since then, again, 3 periods since then, usually I would get a lot of pain on the 2nd day of my period and have it still be painful day 3 and 4, really. This is not it. This is not the same. These 3 periods compared to my whole life of periods ever since I was 11, really, so much better so far. I might do an updated version about 6 months from the insertion, so about 3 months from now, potentially after a year, depending. But so far I've had 3 periods, and I get PMS symptoms just before my period starts, which is just like cramps before the period, like a day before the period starts. First day is usually the worst, but it's still nothing compared to any of my periods before I had the IUS inserted. The first day is usually just period cramps, about 10 times worse than the PMS, and the PMS is not that bad either. So on a scale of 1 to 100, the pain is only about 10%. So compared to my periods since I started the periods, the least amount of pain I would have would probably be about a 40% out of 100. The most would be literally 90. At one point I was on my period and I threw up for about 3 hours on and off. I had to basically sleep in the bathroom because I kept throwing up. At another time, I was on the way to the bathroom during my period and I literally collapsed onto my knees because the pain was that bad. Bear in mind, this was before the IUS, so this is mostly birth control pills. So they were really bad, ranging on a scale of 40 to 90% pain. Again, since the IUS, the most pain I've had was probably about 10-20%, and that's on day 1. Like the PMS is pretty much nothing. It's maybe like a 5% pain out of 100, which is nothing. The IUS is honestly helped me so much with period pains. It's also decreased my heaviness of my periods. So I used to have to pretty much either wear night pads throughout my whole period, really, or tampons, and change the tampon every 2 to 4 hours because of how heavy my period was. Since having had the IUS inserted, I've actually only used the tampon once, I think. And I now don't really use nighttime pads. I still have nighttime pads just in case, and I pretty much only use them to bed if I feel like it might be heavier, but it's never really that heavy either. Before the IUS, again, I've also never been able to use like wingless pads or the smaller pads. So the night pads are about like this big, really bigger than my face. Since the IUS, I can use the smaller pads, which are pretty much like this big. That's the smallest I could probably go to. Probably a biggest that I go to, which is honestly not a lot. It seems like big, but it's really not compared to the nighttime pads. So I found some pads. This is the nighttime pad. This is a daytime pad, I guess. This is the size of the nighttime pad. Again, it's literally bigger than my face. And this is a daytime pad, which is what I can use now. This one has wings. these bits. This one doesn't have wings. I would never have been able to use these before I got an IUS. So this is the nighttime pad. This is the daytime pad. So if I put them against each other, this is where the daytime pad ends. So it's an extra lot of room for the nighttime pad. And also this one has wings, this one doesn't. So this doesn't offer as much protection. It does slip out of your underwear, like, you know, a bit easier. But again, I would have had to wear the nighttime pads pretty much every day, especially to school, when I was on birth control. Now I can easily wear just the daytime pads, which are smaller, about the size of my face for comparison. And honestly, I don't have to change them as often as I did with the nighttime pads during my periods before the IUS. Obviously, you still have to change your pads every like 6 hours or so, 6 to 8 hours, I believe. But I had to change these more regularly for sure when I was on birth control, ever since I was probably about 12, 13. So honest review, the pain of the actual insertion procedure, the pain is probably like a 9.8 out of 10. But the aftermath so far, after 4 months, honestly, 10 out of 10 would recommend. I recommended it to my sister. I would literally recommend it to anyone who struggles, especially those who struggle with heavy periods, especially those who can't have the IUS, the hormone one, because I can't speak on behalf of the IUD. I only had the IUS done, obviously, so I would definitely recommend getting the IUS done as long as, you know, you can handle the pain, because, you know, if you've gone through childbirth, I'm sure you can handle the IUS. But again, I can't really speak on that behalf because I've not given birth. But yes, honest review, pain, 9.8 out of 10. Satisfaction, 10 out of 10. Literally, I could not ask for a better period birth control thing, personally. So I also have to have it changed at some point, but with the IUS, usually the change, you don't have to change it for like 5 years. Mine is 6, so I don't have to change it until 2027. Bearing in mind I had it done in 2021, it's another 5 years, obviously, unless I realize it stopped working or something goes wrong, or I want to get pregnant or anything like that in the next 5 years. 6 years, I guess, because it's only been like 4 months. Then I can change it sooner. But yeah, definitely recommend that. Just make sure to do your own research and not just focus on this video, because I'm not a medical professional and I cannot guarantee anything. So anyway, that's the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, or at least found it helpful. I tried to make it as informative as possible with my minimal knowledge of the procedure and everything. But yes, hope you guys enjoyed it, or at least found it informative. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below if you have had an IUD or an IUS inserted. I would love to hear other people's stories, no matter how gory. Click the subscribe button and let me know if you want to see any more videos like this in the future, any updates and stuff. And yeah, other than that, do it with passion or not at all.